Hello and welcome to another bedroom girl. I'm in bed today. I've overdone it again. How many times do I say that? I'm so naughty, aren't I? But you know what? I was sitting here listening to the seagulls, hearing the sea lulling in, and I just thought I'm going to have a little chat with my lovelies, see how you're all doing. I also am going to answer Kalpana's question from Australia and a number of people that have sent emails to me about hauntings. It seems to be quite a popular subject. Hauntings in the home, hauntings in certain bits of land, poltergeists, that sort of thing. I'm going to have a little look at that and explain it all to you. The first thing you have to know, though, is that about 99% of all of the phenomena that takes place in people's homes is normally your loved one trying to get your attention, trying to say, I'm here. And if you ever get anything like weirdly happen, something move or your clock stops, or, you know, you get apports like coins or feathers, have a look at the time of day or have a look at the anniversary, have a look what's going on in your life at the time. Because when phenomena like that takes place in your home, it's sometimes like blah, 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 blah. Did you get that? Did you understand that bit? It's just some technical mediumship speak. I'm joking. It's normally down to perhaps them celebrating something with you. It could be your birthday, it could be their anniversary, or sometimes it's the other way where we're struggling and they're saying, look, we've got your back, we're here, just listen to us, open your heart. You've seen previous videos where I've said how to raise your vibration and how to open your heart and mind to their phenomena, which has been my story, which, as I say, I'm going to be putting in my book. Do you know what? I've been writing a couple of the chapters, and most of the chapters I put excerpts in them from my soul journal, from my diaries, and it just makes me breathless sometimes when I read the darkness I was in and the struggles that were thrown upon me. And to be here now, it's just unbelievable. Anyway, I've digressed again as normal. So yeah, they are there to support you and help you, and obviously, you know, let you know they've got your back. And the only way they can do that sometimes is move objects. If you think about it, you know, they're invisible. Lots of people aren't open to their energy. They're not on the same frequency as you know, as your loved ones. And so they're like, oh, for God's sake, what am I going to do then? And it's like, bang, I'll throw that. Hello, I'm here. I remember my nan throwing a photograph across the room in my conservatory when I lived in Hadley in Essex. And you know, other people, if they weren't aware of how spirit phenomena work, they would have said, oh my God, I got a poltergeist, someone's going to get sucked through the telly. It's not the case. She was like waking me up, giving me a heads up to a situation. It was a very serious situation at the time. She smashed the glass, which is a bit naughty. But that's how they work, you know. So you can't allow fear and media and all these spooky TV shows and you know, movies to make you think, oh my God, I've got something really bad in here. Have a look around as to the relevance of why that's happening at that particular time in your life. It's the juicy bit that I like. The other 1%, they're the ones that intrigue me. You most probably seen, I've done a lot of them in Psychic Detective, where particularly the one with the talking mongoose. I was like, what? But it was really interesting in the end, because it was just someone using the energy of the animal to actually communicate who he was. James Kinley, I think it was. Amazing that name popped into my head when I was doing that. Anyway, again, digressing. What you have to be aware of is that like attracts like. It is just the natural law of the universe that we attract who we are and what we give out. So when I've gone, all those years I've been doing it, 20 odd years, that I've been going to people's houses that think there's something bad in there. And I'm not being rude to some of these people, but for instance, I'll give you a for instance. When I went to a place in Southend once, the people were drug users in there, and the place was not particularly nice. It wasn't very well cared for. There were lots of domestic arguments going on. There was lots of anger. There was lots of abuse. There was, as I say, there was lots of drug use. And it turned out that the person that had been attracted to this place, the spirit person, was a bloke who'd OD'd on heroin just down the road. And he'd come to this place because obviously he hadn't gone over. Lots of spirit people don't go over to the go over to heaven or whatever you want to call it, to the spirit world, because of fear. They fear they're going to be judged, or they fear that they're not going to be welcome there and they're going to go somewhere else. Everybody goes up to that heavenly realm. It's then your soul that's judged as to where you end up in what layer. So I would assume, from what my granddad's told me and what family have told me and my guides, that if you've been a really naughty boy or naughty girl, you end up going in a lower layer, which isn't too pleasant, because I've been there. I've also been to a state of purgatory, where souls are lost between getting to the heavenly realms and they don't want to stay down here, and that wasn't pleasant. I think that's another video for another time, because that was just not nice at all. But they had to show me it, to show me what happens to souls, that don't quite make it up to the light, if you know what I mean. So this bloke who'd OD'd was a very miserable person. And obviously had felt attracted because the energy that was coming out like a beacon from this house just down the road from where he died was something that he was familiar with, like the abusive bit, the drug use, and he thought, I think I hang around here. And so obviously, to try and let himself be known, he started up stuff there. And the thing is that you talk to the people and they can get quite affronted, because you say, look, I'm not being funny. Unless you change energy in your house, you're going to continually attract this type of energy that hasn't gone over. And they don't like it. So he's most probably still like down there with them now, doing whatever they do in their house. So, this is what really grips me as well, when people say, oh, I'm doing a cloak of protection, I've got to protect myself, like, some mediums that say, like, from what? A load of pants. I've had this as from a child, obviously, and I didn't do cloaks of protection. I've never had anything dodgy happen to me, ever. The only time that I've ever confronted or been in the energy of negative spirits and negative energy is because I've walked into it on an investigation, or I've walked into it in a house. It doesn't come to me, because I radiate light and love and a real drive to want to help humankind and embrace the spirit phenomenon and angel realms. So how would I possibly attract anything that's really negative and crappy? So I don't need to do a cloak of protection at all. I just don't like that. I don't like that saying, cloak of protection, we've got to protect ourselves. From what? Because they're not going to infiltrate you. If you're a power of light, a pillar of light, and you have this power and this goodwill, how are you possibly going to allow something like that into your life? It's like, and I'm not being classist here, I'm not being judgmental on anybody at all, I want to make that clear, but if you're sitting in a lovely home and it's really clean and you're a law-abiding person, you're not going to invite like a kidnapping, drug using, horrible person into your house, are you? They're not going to knock at the door, you're not going to be friends with them, because that isn't your energy frequency. You're not going to relate to that person. So that works with the universal energies and the ethereal energies of spirit people. They're just not going to be able to resonate in your energy. It's just not going to happen. However, when someone writes to me about a problem they've got in their home, I always have to ask them a number of questions. And obviously, I do have to ask things like, do you do Ouija boards? Are you having problems in the house? Do you use drugs? Do you drink a lot? Blah, blah, blah. And people think, what bloody hell is she asking that for? So I need to see what sort of energy you are, to see if you're attracting it. That's the most important part of it. So they're the first. I've got an itchy nose. That means surprised, doesn't it? And so basically, I have to find out who you are and what energy you are creating in your home to see if you're inviting it or attracting it. Does that make sense? And obviously, most people who I go to, that very rare 1%, where I go in there and they're just a lovely, beautiful family, then I go to the next stage of asking questions, which is, first of all, obviously, have you done a Ouija board, drunk or mucked about like that? Because I've had a few of those where people have inadvertently, invited the local spirit person in that hasn't gone over, and they say no, absolutely not. So then I look at, they've moved into an area that's already got resident energy in it that's either negative or is not very friendly to human inhabitants, if you like. So generally I find that when I walk into a house that's got a nuisance spirit, let's call it that, then generally it's from the history of the land that the place is put on. I know that there's obviously people that perhaps killed themselves in a house, and then the house itself is a problem. But generally, I find the ley lines or the energy that's been exuded from the history of the land that the place is built on is normally where this kind of comes from. I had one once where they pulled up the carpet and there was a pentagram, but there's nothing wrong with pentagrams, but this was used in a really negative way. And so there's a lot of witch stuff going on, which is brilliant, because as we know, like, Wiccan is fine, but this was the negative part of it. And so that was still, you know, embedded in the energy of the house. So we had to kind of get rid of that. I'll tell you about that later. There was another one that turned out it was a hospital during the Second World War. And I'd felt it when I walked in the house, and it just stank of like ulcerated legs and dead people. And I know they smell from when I was in the old Bill. And it was just disgusting. And there was people crying out and lonely. And I walked into the place and it was just so negative. And when I researched it later, I was so chuffed, because it used to be used as you know, a building to have all of the injured soldiers in that were dying and, you know, in really, really big pain. So, and yet it was a modern house, you know, and you would never have guessed. And so, again, as I'll say later how I dealt with it. So there's all different reasons as to why you may be in a house that has problems. The first thing I have to say to you is, if it feels like there's nuisance problems or there feels like a darkness in the house, you'll feel it. I'm telling you that now. It's mostly when people move into a place, they don't realise, and they think, oh my God, what's going on here? You can get people that used to live there that are friendly. You know, I used to have a little boy called Daniel in my old house in Hadley, and he was large. He was such a sweet little boy. And, you know, he introduced himself to my family and to my little nephew at the time. Tyler was only a little one and knew his name and everything. But, you know, so there are residents in places that like to just stay in the house they always loved. I most stay around here for a little while now and then. And, you know, you get on with them and you get used to them, and they do little things. And you go, oh, well done. And like, there's the friendly energy, you know. There's two types of presence in respect of spirit phenomena. One is obviously grounded, which I find quite rare. There's so many people out there go, oh yes, they've all grounded, they haven't found their light. Yeah, they have, they just like coming back. The second is visitation. They're in a residual energy where they love that place as a human, and they're up there in the spirit world and think, do you know what, I think I'm going to pop back because I love that place. And then they just come in visitation for a day or so, whatever they want to do, so they have no idea of time anyway. And they can stay for a couple of weeks or a day, and then they pop back off again. To us, that's, oh my God, there's something in my house, what am I going to do? So the ones that are grounded are the ones that I like, and again, they're so rare to find them. But when they do, it excites me, because I love the fact that I can help someone go back over and find out why they didn't want to go back over. So you'll know the difference. When there is something in your house that isn't great, you're going to be experiencing really bad smells. One of the things is like, it's a sulphury, rotteny, I don't know, ammonia smell or rotten egg smell you'll get. And normally it'll be located in a certain area. Some people think it's like problems with the drains and stuff like that, but it isn't. And I've noticed that when I've gone into dodgy places. So you'll get that. You'll get lots of accidents take place. Either you tripping up, or, you know, the kids, or there'll be bad luck running, like, quite regularly. You'll also get things like electrical faults keep happening, or perhaps you'll get floods, or you'll get really bad luck things happen, like to the extent where you'll say to friends, you know, even want to guess what's happened now. So things will be breaking and things will be blowing up and all sorts of things. Television is a very, very popular one, obviously. Television, they love the energy of a television. If you've got a grounded negative or grounded angry or lost soul, they're going to go for the big electrical items, turning them off when you go to bed, turning them on as soon as you go, like, start falling asleep, all that kind of stuff, or just like literally, you know, fusing them out. They'll use their energy to blend with those and fuse them out. A lot of them really don't want to hurt us. They just want to say, look, I'm here and I don't know what to do, I'm lost, can you help me? And this is what sometimes angers me with, you know, investigators, that they go in and do all their bit, come out and leave them there still. God's sake, help them. You know, don't say, oh, do you want to hurt us, do you want to do this? Help them get where they need to go. That's why they're bloody kicking off. You know, that's why they're doing it. So you've got to look at these people. They used to be humans. You need to find out what their problem is. So you'll get that. You'll most probably find as well that you might start having more arguments than normal with your family, and you might start getting prone to depressive episodes because obviously their energy has already been stabilised in the place, and so you're going to start walking into that all the time. So you can imagine you walking into energy that's already there. It's obviously going to affect your energy. So you might feel a bit depressed or angry or a bit crappy, and that's again part of the phenomena. Normally they work in dark shadows, standing at the bottom of the bed, walking past. They kind of quite like a dark, ominous feel. So when they're present, you'll just feel like your spine's being dragged downwards. That's what I felt with negative energies or grounded energies have got the amp. And you feel like the back of your neck and your spine is being pulled down. How I learnt this was I was doing an investigation down in Southampton at Netley Abbey. And as soon as I walked into the place, I didn't really say much because there was loads of people there, and I wasn't really confident in those days. And I walked past this old ruin at Netley Abbey, and there was this like huge bloke in spirit. He was about 6'7", standing there looking at me. I thought, oh my God, he ain't great. Anyway, long story short, later on in the night, I'll never forget it. I was with this other lady, and we were standing actually in the middle of the abbey. And what I can only describe it as is it was like a collection of black locusts came flying towards us. It was horrible. Thick blackness coming towards us. And I had no knowledge of this place, but obviously afterwards I explained, about this bloke. And it literally hit you. Like, do you know when you come out of a plane and the heat hits you when you go abroad? It's like, oh my God, it's like so hot. It was like that, but it was coldness. And I can remember it now. It makes you feel sick, and it turns your stomach and gives you nausea. And then the thing that I noticed is that obviously all the hairs on the back of your neck go up, and like my spine honestly felt like it was being pulled out the bottom of my back. It was horrible, and I felt frozen. And I was standing in this black energy, thinking, "This ain't great. What am I going to do about this?" The lady that was with me ended up on the floor because she couldn't handle the energy. She was like on the floor. I thought, Christ, how am I going to get out of this? And then my granddad came into my head and he said, remember, love, I always said, don't ever show fear. Show him who's boss. And so I'm going to swear now. And so I thought, you cheeky bastard, you shouldn't be doing this. And so I went, F word, off, get away from me. And it was almost like he went, oh, blimey, hang on a minute, I've never had that before. And I thought, how dare you? And I imagined me pushing all this pink light and throwing it at this blackness around me. And then it just backed off. I couldn't believe it. I thought, bloody hell. And it turns out this abbot is grounded there. Nobody's ever been able to get him out of Netley Abbey. And he's thrown rocks at people's heads. He's really hurt them, And again, it's very, very rare. But bloody, it was a real nasty. But I felt really proud of myself. And now, I always remember my granddad's words. It's funny enough, his crucifix is sitting there, or his rosary beads, sorry. And I take that with me, just in case there is anybody who wants to have a bit of a pop. And I just think, no, off you trot. That's not happening. And, I tried that, as you'll sit with my ghost hunt that you saw at the Plough Inn, where poor Darren's back was scratched. I was trying to be aggressive, I was trying to be understanding, I was trying to be communicative. This bloke weren't having it. So there's sometimes you ain't going to get anywhere with them. But that's more investigations and more for experienced people. I want to bring it back to when you've got things going on in your house. So if those kind of things that I was saying about, like the smells, the bad luck, the accidents and that kind of thing's going on, then that's the time that you need to start thinking about getting someone in. Depends on your faith, religion. If you feel comfortable in getting, like a priest or the local vicar in, that's fine. But they tend to bless the house. Sometimes that may be enough. But if you've got someone that's been grounded there for however long, it's going to be a very short, quick remedy, because they'll be back there, no problem at all. So you need to find someone that's recommended, that knows what to do with spirit people. If they're going to be charging, I remember someone saying to me, well, they're going to charge 500 quid, but they said I'll never get a problem again. That's just taking the mickey. All right, most people come in. I never used to charge. All I used to charge was for petrol if it was like a really long distance. And that was it, you know, because I found it an honour to go in there and be asked to do it, and communicate with the person and see what was going on, to be honest with you. So basically, find someone that's recommended. If you can't find anything online, then go to your local spiritualist church, but make sure you've got someone that knows what they're doing, because they could make it worse, trust me. If they're going to go in there and start doing all their billy, then they're going to make it worse. They're going to incite more energy and just completely wind up whoever's there. You need to have someone that knows what they're doing, is totally sincere, not in it for the money, just wants to go in there, find the problem and eradicate it. It's as simple as that. So it needs to be a very experienced medium to do that. Generally, someone that comes in that does that will clear the energy. They should advise you afterwards to basically never discuss the phenomenon again. Don't talk about it, because you're almost like inviting that energy back in. A bit like a vampire. Don't want to invite them in. They've got to stand at the door. And I've been watching too many Vampire Diaries, and I need to get a grip. And what I do, and this is, I just do it because it's an old tradition that's gone through like the family, and I put a bag of rock salt or sea salt at the door. I have angel blessing coins at the front of my house and at the back of the house. Salt is a really good way of cleansing your place. I sage the house anyway, but that's not about protecting me from spirit people. Really, that's about making sure no arseholes come through the door. Oh, God. I'm so common, aren't I? It's true. But I do that anyway. And that's what I normally recommend to people. You know, have a bit of a bag of rock salt at the doors. Don't discuss the phenomena once it's been cleared. Try and be as happy and positive as you can. And don't do any activities that may invite them back in, i.e. Ouija boards, drugs, drunkenness, bad behaviour. If you know that it can turn out nasty, because any nasty energies are going to be zapping straight back in. Some places naturally have vortex energies where there's a natural opening where spirits come in and out as well. And again, dependent on the owners is what sort of spirits you're going to attract into there. Some people don't like the fact they get strange people in their house, that strange spirit people, and I totally agree. So I will close the vortex to the best of my ability, sealing it with the salt. And generally, you know, I recommend having rose quartz in the house, positive vibration, and trying to, you know, get the house as light as possible so that nothing else really wants to come in, because they'll just be bored, if that makes sense. So hauntings, as I say, most of them are going to be your family. The odd 1% are going to be dodgy people. The first time I went into a place, I really didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. I didn't feel qualified. It was years ago. But then my granddad, who seems to be the person that comes with me on these, my dad's dad, Fred, he comes in with me, and Julianus is there. And I just said, look, I shouldn't be doing this because I can make it worse. I said, trust us, you can do this. We'll take you through it. And basically, they created a ritual in my mind after I communicated with the spirit person, where there's a particular door source that's opened, and you know, I was really doubting it to begin with. I'm thinking this is just in my head. This ain't working. And Julianus basically leads them through this door. Some of them didn't want to go. Some of them were lost. Some of them feared they'd be judged because they were bad on the earth plane. All sorts of problems, all human, you know, essences of what we have now, bless them. And they said, well, I don't deserve to go up there, or I shouldn't be up there, or I'm worried that I'm going to meet my dad that used to abuse me. All sorts of stories. You know, I will do a book about it, actually, because it really is a really interesting subject, because we still got our souls there in this spirit person that's wandering around, and all we see is poltergeist or, you know, insidious, and think that we're haunted and we're all going to die. And it don't happen like that. And so I remember the first time I went in, let this bloke walk through the door, turned around and smiled, shut the door. I came back round and smelt loads of roses and flower smells, floral scents. And then Juliana said, our work here is done. And so I told the owner, and from that day on, she never ever had a problem again. So it worked. So I thought, well, this is good. And so it isn't about all in your mind. It's about your ability, I suppose, as a medium, your understanding, your knowledge and your expertise in knowing how to deal with these energies that obviously don't want to go up for whatever reason. So make sure that you spirit person coming to talk to me. No. Oof. I haven't had that for ages while I've been doing these. Man, no. Okay. So basically, that's what happens in general hauntings. Kalpana was talking about that she was in a place in Dubai where she had all these sort of phenomena happen. I felt that was a land-based energy. It was a history of the land that created the problem, you know. I don't know if you remember seeing that film. It was a true story about when they built a housing development on top of a Indian reserve, but they didn't take the bodies or the graves. That kind of thing. You were asking for massive problems there. But again, the spirit people don't want to hurt you. They just want to say, we've got the right ump here. Do you know what I mean? There have been reports of people being pushed downstairs. You know, if you watch My Ghost Story on Sky and things like that, you think, Jesus, that ain't great. And that's when you're walking into a place that's already connected with negative energy. Two options. You either deal with it and own your space because you are stronger and you're alive and they're not, or you move. It's as simple as that, if nobody can actually move them on. But generally, as I say, a very high percentage of them can be moved on to, let's call it the light for the easiest term. It's a bit cheesy, but they can be moved on. So don't worry too much. If there's anything you are worried about, then just drop us a line. You know, give us an email or comment on here or Instagram or whatever else I'm on Twitter, and just let me know, and I can assure, you know, I can give you my opinion on what's going on in your house. I think as you saw, the extremes are that video that I've already put on YouTube, the Birdbrook Ghost Hunt. That wasn't a great one. Another one was a mansion house that we went to. Do you know what? I can't remember where it was. It's Hertfordshire or somewhere. And he ended up having a few scratches. He ended up giving us a few scratches and had the right arm. But again, there was a little boy there who we managed to get over. Because I think he was almost stuck under the energy of this bloke, but the bloke weren't going anywhere, so he just think, right, I'll leave you to it, mate. And it was an empty mansion anyway, so let him roam around it if he wants to be in misery for like the rest of his eternal life. If you don't want to go up and embrace the beauty of up there, then fair play. So as I say, the negative, the dangerous, the nasty are very, very rare. Very, very rare. I think the reason why I've been exposed to them is so that I can educate people and also understand the yin and the yang of the spirit world. You know, I've had to know the darkness of spirit phenomena to understand the lightness as well, so I can cover both bases. As I say, most of them will be people that want to communicate or reach you. They want to get hold of you and say, wake up, I need to tell you this. And so they're the ones that you want to look at. And you're going to most probably be asking, if you haven't seen the other videos, well, what do I look for? If you go to the spirit visitation videos I've done, I've literally labelled every single way that you could understand and know that a spirit person is visiting you. So have a look at those videos because they'll explain it for you. Again, you know, don't play with this. Again, I say about it in spirit visitation, if you're doing Ouija boards, I would have, or communication boards, have someone that knows what they're doing. Don't do it drunk, for God's sake, and don't muck about with it, because you're asking for a problem there. Because if you've got a circle of intent of people saying, come in and see us, you don't know who you're inviting in. So you've got to be really careful with that. I will say that. But for me, you know, a Ouija board, as I've said before, is like a gun. In the hands of a trained marksman, it's a very effective, you know, tool, which it is for me. In the hands of a complete idiot that's mucking about with it, you know, that's your problem. You're going to create massive problems. I did do it. I'm sure I've mentioned it in another video where I was, how old was I? What, 12, 13? And we did this Ouija board in my mate's garage, and this spirit pretended to be her nan. Oh my God, and it turned out it wasn't. It was horrific. The glass flew off the table, smashed against the wall, and then after that she started having cupboards opening and banging, and Christ knows what. It was a really big problem. They ended up moving out, and I remember going back home that night, and my mum opened the door and went, you stupid cow, what have you just done? And she knew exactly, she'd felt what I'd done. She goes, you want to do this, you need to know how to do it properly, you silly cow. and I was actually pooing myself. I remember I laid on my mum's bedroom floor that night because I was so scared that I brought this thing home. And that's another thing, attachments. Do you know what? I kind of, attachments, when people say, oh, a ghost has attached itself to me or a spirit has attached itself to me, I think it takes a lot of energy for one to attach itself to you. I do believe that they can follow your energy. I do believe that they get attracted to your energy. But attachments makes it feel like you're almost being possessed by someone. And I don't really like that word with it. You know, like the Enfield Hauntings, when the girls were playing in the cemetery, and you know, the main man of the Enfield Hauntings obviously was attracted to her energy because it was very young. So he followed her back to the house. Yeah, I can see that, but attachment don't feel right to me. It's just like, I don't know, some stranger following a child back and then, you know, stalking them. That's the kind of way I see it. With poltergeist energy, I would say, to be honest with you, poltergeist energy to me is the same as any spirit energy. I just think it's another man-made word. Because all spirits can, you know, learn how to manipulate objects and move things and throw things across the room. What happens is, though, one of the main phenomenons of the poltergeist activity that you know people talk about is normally teenage energy. If you think about it, you know, if you're a spirit person, or you're not going to see the material parts of the world, you're going to see where the energy's throbbing, and where you can go and sit in the energy and just, you know, relax in it and get energized by it. So it's almost like a half-empty battery looking for a charger. And the chargers that create the biggest phenomena, one, are obviously mediums, because we throw a massive light out to say we see dead people, we can see angel realms, and we deal with everything. So we throw a massive light out, hence why we get spirit people visit us and say, can you give a message to my daughter, at random places. So we give out this massive energy. And basically, teenagers that are going into puberty, they've got loads of emotions and hormones raging, and they are giving out a huge abundance of energy, which can be quite aggressive. It can be quite confusing because they're going through, obviously, you know, their changes. And, you know, you talk about the Kevins of the world. So if you've got any energy that's wandering around, they're going to shoot straight to a hormonal, angry, or sometimes depressed teenager. They're going to love that. And so they almost charge themselves on the energy of the teenager. And this is what happened with the Enfield haunting. This is what happened, as I said, about the mongoose column that I did as Psychic Detective. It's not so much they're possessing them and hurting them. Yes, they've got evil intent. Obviously, they were a complete arsehole on the earth plane, so they still are as a spirit person. So they use their energy to be nasty and scary, you know. And so basically, you know, you saw the phenomenon of the girls being thrown up in the air and various things happen in the house with the Enfield haunting, and it was just basically nasty men. I'm sure he felt paedophile to me, to be honest with you, that man. Following these young girls back from, you know, the graveyard, which is quite unusual because most spirit people don't, you know, languish in a graveyard at all. It's the last place they do, the least haunted place in the world. I should know, I lived in one. Anyway, and so they come back and they're feeding off of this energy of change, of aggression, of confusion, of, you know, that general, no mum, I don't want to do that, I hate you. They love that, they eat it up. And so the more that they can absorb the energy of that aggressive teenager, that abundance of energy, the more they can do what they want. So sometimes they can do nice things, but if you've got a nasty in the house, oh yeah, they're going to do that sort of thing, aren't they? They're going to throw things and make you feel scared, because that's what they did on the earth plane. You know, they don't suddenly turn into a demon because they're dead. They basically were nasty people, you know, in their lifetime. And so until they go up and are judged or are healed, they're still the same nasty person they were, you know, when they were alive. So that's what's going to happen. So, you know, people say about demon energy and all the rest of it. Yes, there are different states of what, how can I put it? Different states of manifestation. Yes, there are things that aren't human or on this planet. Again, exceptionally rare. But generally, I would say that most of the people that, you know, you hear about in the real scary stories are just people that were real shitty on the earth plane and still continue to be. And then they've found an equally shitty person to feed off of, and they're loving it. I don't say it very well, do I? Do you know, I go on YouTube and watch some videos of me. Oh, hello, welcome. I see you in the spirit world. And I think, oh my God, I'm so common, and I swear, and it's really bad. But do you know what? That's what it's about. Transparency. So you either like it or just, I don't know, lump it. So that's how I see poltergeist energy. You know, there's a lot to be said for the person. And as I take it right the way back to the beginning, I always will look at the person that is occupying the energy of the phenomena first, because generally I'm not blaming people for it at all, because as I said, there are some lovely people out there that have just walked in and inadvertently bought a haunted house or a house that's got negative energy, and there's nothing you can do about that unless you get someone like me in. But basically, most of the places I go to where there's negative stuff happening, the people aren't the greatest. That's all I'm going to say. You know, but again, I've been to places where the family are beautiful, and basically it turns out the bloke of the family members, I have to be careful because I have to obviously, you know, be confidential here, had killed himself, and when he went up there and got healed, he still definitely wanted to be up in the spirit world, but then he realised that he hadn't been there for his nieces and nephews, so he was back down to their house trying to help them, but all they saw was things being moved and cold spots and weird things happen, so it absolutely petrified them. But it was just their uncle at the end of the day. And there was another one where a young girl was not being left alone in Grays. And there was visitation happening all the time, things being moved, she couldn't sleep, she was awake all the time, she was, you know, school were noticing, and it turned out it was her uncle again. But he was good, he was okay, he was a brilliant communicator. My God, the things he showed me, it's just unbelievable. I just sat down and blended. What you do is, as a medium, you sit, after you've assessed the people that actually live in the energy, you then sit and you send your energy out looking, and it's almost like you're scanning, looking for someone to come and talk to you. And he turned up and he was standing right in front of me, and he was the best communicator ever. He gave such amazing evidence, the date he died, he showed me his gravestone, how he died, his name, everything, the names of all the people he was up there with. He was just brilliant. And then what had happened is that, weirdly enough, an old neighbour of his who had also died, a girl, was buried next to him. So he then showed me her gravestone, what her name was when she died, and they were connected up in the spirit world, and she was watching him come in visitation. And because her family weren't open to it, she was trying to get to her family, but they were non-believers or the religious, I can't remember what it was. And so she was trying to say, I'm here, and they ignored her. So she was watching her old neighbour go down to his niece and thinking, I'll have some of that, because they're obviously aware of it, because, you know, the mum of the house was very aware and a developing medium and all the rest of it, but didn't know who was coming in the house all the time, creating problems. And so he said, it ain't me, I'm coming to see my niece. And then I pop off. But the girl that couldn't get to her family was staying in the energy because she loved it and realised that this little girl could see her. So she was the one that was creating the problems of her not getting any sleep and keep turning up at random times, because she loved the fact that she was in a place she was welcomed and that people were aware of her presence. It's amazing. It's such a good one. And so he then brought her forward, and I had to chat with her, and she was crying her eyes out, this spirit person, saying, oh my God, I really didn't know. I wasn't aware of the amount of times I was coming. We're not aware of, you know, human time unless we have to. She goes, I just loved the fact that someone knew I was there. And she was so sorry, and she felt so guilty, this beautiful girl. And then she said, I won't do it again, I'm so sorry. I said, no, look, you can, darling. I said, but just, like, you know, stand there, be you know, very, very subtle in your energy, and then go back up again if you can't go to your family home. Or try and bring one of your family, you know, to a medium. Well, I won't do that, I said, well, you know, just keep trying. There must be a way. Talk to their guides if they're aware of them or not, and see if you can, you know, get in that way. And it turned out she was just a beautiful girl that was so excited to be able to come in visitation and, you know, be with this little girl. And it was such a lovely, sad story. It was so emotional. And then straight after that, no problems whatsoever, absolutely nothing. But again, I think I've put it in the spirit visitation on ways that you can keep your energy cleansed and nice and clear and positive, so that the only persons that are going to come into your house are the people that love you, that want to say hi. And we all want that. Well, you say that. There's lots of people that say, I just want my mum to come. When they do, they poo their pants. So, you know, decide what you want. Talk to them. You know, the other day, for instance, right, I was like, I've done so much human stuff, you know, with all of the unpacking and everything, and I felt really disconnected. And normally I think of the spirit world and angel realms like every half hour. They're never out of my mind. I thought, oh my God, I feel really, you know, lost. I haven't thought of them for ages. All I've thought about is where to put this and what to do with that. And I said, blimey, I said, are you still around me? Of course they're still around me. But I remember sitting here saying, are you still around me? Because I just feel a bit disconnected. I'm really sorry because I'm doing this human stuff and I hate it. And that day, I'm not lying to you, right? I've got the coins up there actually. I had a coin, I was doing the washing, right? And I picked a towel up and from the floor, because I'm a bit messy, I'm not going to lie. And I picked it up that I'd used the day before, and a penny fell out of it. Then I did the washing and then took all the washing out, and a 2p fell out, but it was only like towels, so there's not going to be money in that. You know, if there's a pair of jeans, I would have thought, oh, fair play, you know, there's a coin in there. Then I went to the washing line, put the washing line up, come back, and I stood on a 2p. Come in here, and there was a 5p coin sitting on there. Then there were feathers dropping, and one dropped on my head, and I'm like, oh my God, you're making up for it. I went, thank you, I love you so much. You know, so embrace phenomena, embrace the spirit world when they want to come and visit. But if you've got a problem, go and see someone that can cope with it and deal with it, you know, and it's not your fault. As I say, it could be the land before, or something's happened in the meantime that has attracted them to stay at that place. So it's a bit like Crime Watch, isn't it? You know, they don't have nightmares, do sleep well. Then, you know, you're not surrounded by people waiting to pounce and come in your house because they're evil. That's a load of rubbish. You know, you've got to have a bit of a practical view on this and try and humanise the phenomena of the spirit world, the phenomena of visitation, and look at what it's about. People see these spirit people as it's, you know, and I hate it, as I said, when they go, oh, do you want to hurt us? Do you want to harm us? No, I'm just Joe from down the road, and I just don't know how to go over to the spirit world. Can anybody help me? Yes, you do. Oh, we want to hurt us. And you're like, oh my God, what are you doing? And that's what really grips me. It really pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. Oh my God, when they just goad them, and they're just these people that need help, because they haven't got a clue that they're, you know, they can't communicate with these people. They can't hear what they're saying to them. And so they just goad them. When I did my retreat in Scotland, actually, DVD, what was that called? Oh, I can't remember. Bloody hell, I can't remember now. But there was a DVD I did where Robert, I remember his name, the spirit name, and he'd been showing himself in this hotel, like half his torso to people, and it was scaring the pants off them. And there was various things happening. He said, oh yeah, we've got this Robert, you know, he's really scary, he's really horrible, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we did this seance on this big table, and he moved a solid oak table. It was about 12 foot and like this thick. And you literally would have to have loads of people just to budge it a little bit. He threw it around like a ping pong table. And initially, if you were someone that didn't know what he's doing, he'd go, oh yeah, what, do you want to hurt us? Do you think you're big and brave? And it wasn't. Right, this poor man, after speaking with him and being patient and listening to him, despite the fact initially, because he was angry, right? He was angry. And so he was throwing things about, and he threw something across the room. Then he blew out the candle and knocked it over. That was on the table, and I was like, come on mate, just talk to me, let's do this, come on, talk to me. It turns out, right, it took quite a while for him to trust me, and I was respectfully trying to find out his story. And it turned out that he was having an affair with the lady of the house there, and they'd had a child together. And the man who was with the woman who owned the house was really abusive. He was a real monster, right? And what happened was, and what was most amazing was, is when I researched this, it was true. Oh my God. Anyway, and what happened was, is that he thought that the woman and the child had left, right? And this monster, he was abusive, used to beat the woman. He was just horrible, horrible boy and man. And so he decided, in a crime of passion, if you like, to set alight to the place and like, you burn and rot in hell, we're off. he didn't know that the love of his life and the child, which was his, which the man didn't know about, burned it in the fire as well. So you can imagine the guilt and the pain that this poor soul has been in. And I think it was the 1800s, late 1800s or something. And he wouldn't leave there because he didn't know if she'd gone up. She'd obviously gone up, but he was still searching for her. And the guilt of killing the love of his life was beyond him. And so, you know, his energy, his male energy was quite strong anyway, obviously, because he was throwing that table around, like, he was bashing it around, and it was so heavy. And initially you'd think, oh yeah, you know, but there was none of the signs. There was no, you know, sicky feeling. There was no bad smells. This bloke was just like, I'm raging because I killed the love of my life and my child, you know. And then after talking to him, the energy dissipated, and then we did a little ritual at the end of the stay and got him up there. So now I know that he still goes to the hotel, but it's in visitation. You know, he's not grounded there raging and in agony, agonising pain because he killed the love of his life. So, you know, you've got to look at these spirit people, find out what they're there for, first of all, find out why they're there, and then go from there. Because they're not all naughty, I'll tell you that. None of them are really. As I say, it's so rare, it's ridiculous. That's why you see the things on telly, because they're the rarest of rocking horse poo. You know, you don't get it happen a lot. So don't be scared. Open your energies to your family and your loved ones. And if you've got a problem, seek out a recommended medium through word of mouth, not how big they are and how great they are and how many television programmes they've done, because they're the ones you want to avoid, okay? You want to go with the ones who've got no ego, that just want to help you and work out what's going on. So I'm going to leave it there because I've been going on and on forever, and I think I might try and get down the beach if my legs will take me. Have a fantastic weekend, even though it's Sunday now, is it? I haven't got a clue. Well, I'll have the rest of a lovely break off anyway. Anything you want to ask me about, just send your questions, because I love to be able to answer them. Again, thank you for all your amazing feedback, your messages. It's just makes my day, 'cause it makes me feel like this is all worth it, you know, because if I sit here and nobody comments, then I think, oh, what am I doing? I'm just an idiot. That's just part of my self-worth issues. Anyway, have a lovely time today in the sun. I hope you enjoy my video, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon, which I think is going to be about how to improve your connection to the spirit world, and how to develop mediumship, which is from someone that's been messaging me on here. So I will most probably do that next. So take care. Big love to all of you, and don't have nightmares. Sleep well. I shouldn't end it on that, should I? No, I shouldn't. And you got any good stories about house hauntings? Let me know, because I think I might. I could see a book coming out of that. Be nice to get a publisher first, though, wouldn't it? But anyway, take care, and I look forward to seeing your messages and your feedback for this video. Again, if there's anybody that would benefit from it, please share it and ask them to subscribe, because the more the merrier. Take care now. Bye.